Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how I made this awesome sandbox for my kids. As you can see here, they're having fun playing in it. But this is going to be entered in Sterling Davis's Pallet Challenge. So stick around and I'll show you how I made this sandbox. Alright, so we're going to head outside. I got a little bit of time. We're going to take some pallets apart. Alright, so these are the two pallets that I'm going to be building the sandbox from. They are, this first one is a big long one, and the second one's a 48 by 32 or something like that. But this one's the longest one that I found. I actually found two of these and decided to use one of them for the pallet. And this is all 3/4 inch pine, and this is the easiest way I found to break down the pallets. There are many different ways by using a crowbar and pry bar, but as long as you don't need the full length of these slats, cut them off with a circular saw or a jigsaw. The way that I'm doing it is the easiest way. So I'm doing the back side here, cutting them off just on the other side of the 2x4. So here's the second pallet that I'm using, and I always prefer these pine ones more than the oak ones or the thinner slat pallets, because you just have a lot more wood to work with. They don't split as easily. Granted, it's still pine, but you get the idea. So here I am doing it really fast, but taking the other little pieces of wood off of the slats or the runners there. Getting all the nails out. Some of the nails didn't want to come out. They were kind of stubborn, but I'm not going to show you the whole process for all these slats. But you get the general idea. Just taking a hammer and knocking all the pieces of wood off, and then I'll come back later and remove the nails, pull them out with a pry bar. Alright, so the next thing I had to do was square up all the slats and cut them to length, and they ended up being like 28 inches long by like 24 inches. It wasn't a total square. But the legs are 2 feet in length. They're made out of the 2x4s, 2x4 runners. Here I'm just measuring out one of the slats for the sides. And I didn't show all of the cuts, obviously. Here I am screwing down the sides to the legs. And this will be the basic frame for the sandbox. And I'm going to set it down on the floor and the ground and make sure it's all square. And it turned out to be very square and didn't rock at all. So here's the underside of the sandbox. I'm just lining up all the pieces, getting ready to brad nail them down to the sides. Like I said, this is all 3/4 inch, so there's plenty of wood here to nail those down. And the nails aren't going to be the only thing holding these down. I'm going to come back later and put a 2x4 frame on it, and you'll see it in a little bit. I was originally going to screw this down, but that would have been too time consuming, and I figured I was going to come back anyway with the 2x4s on the underside, and I'm just shooting a bunch of brad nails in here. So I had to rip down a piece, and I decided to use my bandsaw because it wasn't a straight piece. It wasn't equal from front to back, so it's kind of a tapered rip. So the bandsaw was perfect for this rip cut, and all I did was put it on the underside and marked it with an ink pen, marked the line, and I was actually pleasantly surprised when I put the piece in that it fit the very first time. And this was my first time, actually, one of the first times that I used my bandsaw for ripping a piece of wood, and it worked surprisingly well. And so here I'm going to fit the piece in, and it fits the first time. I was really pleasantly surprised that it fit. Just putting the nails in, securing it down, and here's the frame that you see, just mitered corners, and I'm screwing it down to the slats themselves, and I'll come back later and actually run screws in through the legs and into the side or the edge of the frame there, and that'll hold everything down and secure and keep the bottom from falling out. So here's the frame on the top that I made, and I'm brad nailing it down, but I'll later come back and put screws in it. And now on to the painting and the finishing. So I kind of had a couple of different ideas. I was either going to use Thompson's water seal, which I've used before. You know, I've always preferred the natural look of wood, and but for an outdoor project, there really is no better protectant than paint. And this was some paint that I had left over, that we had left over from our kitchen when we painted it. And the color is called actually Russian blue. So if you're wondering about the color, name of the color, that's what it is. It's one that we picked out, and I had about 3/4 of a gallon left over, and I ended up using about maybe 2/3 or somewhere between 1/2 of a gallon and 2/3 of a gallon of paint to put 2 coats on this. And I actually made a lid to go on this as well, made out of pallets as well. So if you like this project and this video, and you have any further questions, you can leave me a comment down below. And if this is your first time and you're new to this channel, the best way you can support me is by hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. I will probably put a new video out and show you the finished product on the lid. But thanks again, guys, for watching, and have a great day, and God bless.